meeting. Can we have a roll call, Jeremy?
Yep. Evan Brown, he's absent. Karen Huber, Tom McEwen,
Here.
Louis Jensen, here. Floyd Combs, looks like he's absent.
Okay. Looks like we have a quorum.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Agenda amendments.
We need to amend the agenda to bump number 7 up to number 3.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Approve.
So the reason we bumped that
Yeah.
up is to our attorney, Alex Gaddis, is changing law firms, and we need to, if you all agree to his contract, we need to have a vote and approve him so we can have a attorney present for our meeting tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess for me, and this will run through the end of 2025, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay. Motion and a second to approve the contract. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Motion passes. Congratulations, Alex. So now you can
move into your seat.
sit at the table. Okay. Any old business?
None.
None? Okay. We'll move on to new business. The first one is 2025-09-DV-07. Jason Copperwaite has filed a development standard variance on behalf of Thompson Collective LLC, 6659 Atkins Road, Floyd, Knobs, Indiana, 47119 for the St. Joe Place subdivision to reduce the lot size. We have anybody represent? Okay. Yep. Just up here. State your name and address.
My name is Jake Vissing. I'm with the law firm Frost Brown Todd, 400 West Market Street, Suite 3200, Louisville, Kentucky. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner. So what we have here is my client, Mr. Murphy. He is wanting to replat what is an existing developed duplex complex with 7 current lots on which there are 2 family dwelling units. What he's seeking to do is essentially split each one of them down the middle, down the party wall, to have 14 individual lots, each with the attached single family home on them, so they can be sold off to owner occupants for those individual units. So essentially what the request is to draw a lot line down the middle. The consequence is that because it's on a cul-de-sac, there's a little bit of an odd shape to them, so they're going to come to a more narrow point at the front of each of the respective lots, and it would fall below the minimum lot width, and a couple of the lots would also fall under the minimum lot size. So looking to the zoning ordinance of the town and Indiana code, there are 3 criteria that must be found to have been satisfied in order to grant the developmental standards variances being sought, both the lot size and the lot width. The first is that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Here, the fundamental use of the property is 2 family dwellings will not change. The only thing that is changing is the legal boundary lines, essentially how these are going to be taxed, how the ownership is going to be held for each of the lots, and likely the owner occupancy versus the current rental occupancy. But other than that, nothing is changing in terms of the use and character of the property. And for that reason, we would conclude that it is not injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The next criteria is the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included, and that would be subject to the variance. That the adjacent properties would not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Here, government data supports the conclusion that the value of the subject neighborhood and surrounding area will really be benefited by the change, certainly not harmed. According to the 2021 American Housing Survey, sponsored by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and conducted by the U.S. Census Bureau, owner-occupied housing is seen as more valuable than rental housing. Here, we would expect that values of that property in the surrounding area would really be benefited by the split in the owner occupancy rather than harmed. So we can certainly say it would not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The last criteria is that the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. Here, without the ability to redraw these lines or draw the new boundary lines to split off the lots into the individual units, really there's only one way that this could be operated going forward, and it's in rental duplexes. You would have to have someone, I mean, you could theoretically sell off the each duplex, but again, you're going to be looking at each one of them, almost assuredly being rented out for occupancy rather than a owner occupant. Here again, we're talking about a property that my client purchased as it is a duplex development, and simply seeking the opportunity to sell it off for single family ownership. I lastly would like to turn to the comprehensive plan and the consistency of the comprehensive plan. While not a criteria, I know it's a factor in determining whether a decision like this is appropriate. Under Sellersburg's guiding principles and the pride and legacy category, it includes neighborhoods and housing, and the goals for neighborhoods and housing is to encourage a mix of housing types and densities for residential subdivisions, allowing for diverse housing options, and to incentivize affordable housing. We know how the housing market has trended in recent years. Prices continue to go up, and one of the ways in which folks are able to try to offer owner occupancy for these dwelling units is to look to having duplexes, townhome approaches, ways in which you can keep the costs down a little bit for folks that want to own a home, but to go buy a detached single family home in a subdivision is just maybe beyond what their current financial reach is. Here, it provides a good entry level home for those that are wanting to own a home. And here, I think that would benefit Sellersburg by promoting people who are really investing in purchasing, being a member of the community rather than with, rent is just a little bit more transient by nature. And to address any concerns regarding this change from common ownership of the whole development and being rented out to being sold off kind of unit by unit to owner occupants, I'm working with the owner to, before it would be sold off, record against the property a pretty comprehensive declaration of covenants, conditions, and restrictions. For any type of attached dwelling like this, it's really important that you have that in place, and not just for all the same reasons that you would ordinarily see for any neighborhood, to establish an HOA to enforce standards for maintenance and care, and ensuring that you're keeping up the community and the neighborhood in a manner that's going to maintain property values from all those people buying in it. But here you have a party wall in each one of the duplexes. You have a roof, a common roof that's covering both units. You have exterior elements that you want to keep consistent. You don't want to have two different colors siding and have a lot of changes that would really look awkward or affect the character of the neighborhood. So, with that, we will be putting in place those declarations that will be enforced by the property owners themselves, that will account for all of those particulars that you would really need to see in a townhome type or duplex type development. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay.
Are you saying there will or won't be a HOA?
So there will be an HOA. The dues will be dependent upon what the HOA is going to be overseeing. So here we're not planning on any like common areas that would need to be maintained, so to speak, with the exception of, I know that we've had a little bit of discussion with the town manager regarding the right of way of I think St. Joe's Place. So I don't believe that's been dedicated yet. I know the applicant would desire to dedicate that to the town. If in the event that it's not dedicated, it would be considered a private drive for the benefit of the neighbors, and it would require their maintenance, upkeep, snow removal, things like that. And the declaration does account for that. And there's a mechanism to assess for that. In the absence of there being a common area, there, other than to cover the cost of the HOA and fulfilling their duties, there wouldn't be any other kind of typical things that you would look for, assessments like a pool or community facilities, things like that.
And who owns that?
S- So it's shown on the plat to be a right of way, but I don't believe it's been accepted for dedication. I know the applicant is he's worked with the engineering team to do a core sample on it, to see what needs to be done to bring it either into what the town needs or to a close enough degree that the town is willing to accept that over as a public right of way. You could theoretically, as you could with any dwelling. So you could, but that gets a little that does get a little sticky sometimes with some fair housing regulations and HUD regulations. So typically, it's just and also it just from a marketability standpoint, I don't think people would like to have that. I mean, I think I don't. Is that something that you would be asking for in this circumstance to restrict it? Okay.
I'm just curious, what about this common wall between the two? How's that? Is it a shared wall or is there space?
So I'm not sure exactly what the current construction is, but when I say party wall, what I'm talking about is anytime you have, a 2 units side by side that are each, self-contained, so to speak, you are sharing that wall in the extent that it's a common wall for each one of you. It's going to be in this circumstance right along the boundary line of the property. So the maintenance of that wall, of the other common elements such as the roof, need to be adjudicated between the 2 owners of that overall unit. In this circumstance, I say 2 because it's a duplex.
So without an HOA, one side's gets damaged, it doesn't want to fix it.
You're stuck with common law remedies, and that can be pretty inefficient. Here it just sets forth insurance requirements and methods for adjudicating disputes over and responsibility for who should be paying for it. So there's an enforcement mechanism within the HOA. The individual who's the other owner could enforce it under the declaration, but the HOA can enforce as well.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
He's got questions for the staff.
Yeah.
Is there any other situation like this in the town of Sellersburg?
Not that I'm aware of. As far as like
As far as that
duplexes,
duplex being split into two single.
not that I know of. Yeah. I mean, they're in Sellersburg, but they're not our jurisdiction to permit it. They're in the county.
Well, there are some in Covered Bridge as well here.
Is there?
Yeah, so if you're familiar with the like patio homes.
Yeah.
Along, if you're familiar with the golf course, 111,
Mm-hmm.
they're attached units. They share a running wall.
Oh, just
Down too, that I think Robert Weston maybe owns, that he uses for rentals, but they,
right. There may be instances of it that I'm just not aware of.
But Sparks, I mean, you've been in the units. Does the dividing wall go up to the roof? I mean, they're divided all the way.
They're-
Okay.
They're
'Cause I
fire
know when they were built, I don't know. Okay. So they, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think there's a space in between two
Right.
walls. I think it's one single wall with
It goes
fire
out.
protection
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
this side, fire
Rated wall.
protection on this side.
Okay. Any public comment? Anybody want to come up and any questions? Just state your name and your address if you would for us.
Jeff Barton, 1130 Crone Road, Memphis, Indiana. There's an awful lot of talk about this HOA going in. And it's to my understanding, if the members of that 14 houses, we'll call it, if they decide, they vote and decide they don't want an HOA anymore, it is my understanding that they can do away with it. And then they don't have anything that can govern anybody. That's
They do. We still enforce the UDO.
But if it doesn't have the HOA, like,
We'll still enforce things that are covered in our unified development ordinance.
it looks like to me, just the whole thing, we're going to open up a can of worms here. Everybody in the town of Sellersburg that's got duplexes is going to be here at the next meeting wanting to double their money and say, well, I'm going to put them up for sale. I've got 2 houses now instead of 1.
I don't see this becoming the norm, but that's my opinion.
If he gets to double his money on it, I guarantee you, I'll go out and buy a duplex and do the same thing. You know, I
You'll be
just,
required to.
I see
go
it
through
coming.
The same thing.
exactly. But if you set a precedence to do it for him, you're going to have other individuals. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You're going to have other individuals doing the same thing.
I mean, I'm not a voting member on the board, so I have no say in it. You
Oh, I'm
should
just
tell
ex-
these guys.
I'm just explaining to you my thoughts.
Sure.
When you tell me one way, I'm looking at it a different way, and I'm just telling you what I think.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
My name is Sandy Carver, and I reside on Allentown Road 2523, but I representing my father, Marion Barton, who lives at 705 East St. Joe Road, which is just right across the road from this property. You have it up there.
Bear with me. My finger's a slow driver.
Okay. So
Easy, Sandy.
Be careful.
Sorry.
all right. Okay, so this is the property we're talking about with my father lives here. And I live right down the street. So when we got notification to submit something in writing, we barely even had 1 day's notice to do that with the way things were put up. And I was out of town at the time. So as soon as I could, I've got something in writing. I want to be sure that that my thoughts come across as I meant them to be. I recognize that the planning and zoning regulations are essential tools for guiding the growth and development of our community. In other words, we have these laws and guidelines to establish. They promote orderly development, protect neighborhood character, and address the aesthetic and the functioning needs of both residential and commercial areas. Additionally, they contribute to the creation of safer and healthier communities. At times, however, it is necessary for exceptions to these regulations, and as in the case of variances. Variances can be granted when it's in the best interest of the community to deviate from certain zoning or developmental codes. With respect to the petition for variances at the St. Joe Court in Sellersburg, I understand that several deviations would be required to accommodate the proposed development of 14 individual homes in a relatively small area. This area was originally designed to support This area was not originally designed to support single-family homes. As a result, the size of the lots and spacing between the homes do not align with the character and aesthetic of the surrounding neighborhood. If the requested variances are granted, I am concerned that the resulting development could lead to unsightly yards and structures, overwhelming the overall quality of the community. The proposed density may not foster a safe or healthy living environment for the residents of St. Joe Road. I urge you to consider the long-term impact of these proposed variances on the neighborhood. While variances may occasionally serve a valid purpose, in this case, the proposed development would not provide any clear benefits to the surrounding community. Now, from what I understand of the 7 lots that they want to make into 14, only 5 of them do not require some kind of variance. And none of them will have any kind of side yard that normally would be there for an individual home. These houses, we're talking about the Sellersburg incentives to try to have single-family homes. I think that these single-family homes were originally designed to be developed from the beginning and to have these side yards. They're set back on the road frontage. If I had this St. Joe Court area and I wanted to build single-family homes, I'd be lucky, according to the guidelines and ordinances, to maybe get 4 homes in here. I don't know the exact ones, but these are really packed in there. And the only way they were able to get all 14 in there was to do the cul-de-sac. And the only benefit to selling these is to the single-family homes, is to the developer or the person who owns them now. He's going to be the one to make money. When these were built 20, 25 years ago, now they're getting at the age where they're going to need a new roof and a lot of other maintenance that needs to be done that hasn't been done to this property. The developing zoning boards were meant to establish these single-family homes before they were built, not after. And as far as taxes goes, as a residential single-family dwelling, these taxes are going to be cut into half. I know that whenever you have a rental property, say your property tax, if there was a single family home and I was living in it and my taxes were $1,500, as soon as I make it rental property, my taxes are now $3,000. So actually, to the town of Sellersburg, you're compromising your ordinances that you set up to make this community what it is and to keep it that way. And now you're going to cut your income in taxes in half because you would allow it to be sold as a single family home. And most of the houses in this area are $300,000 to $400,000. These are going to be projected to be sold for $230,000. and it's not going to do anything but lower the property values in that area. I still haven't heard anything about any kind of fence to go around it or any kind of vegetation. And in fact, the fence that's there now is not being maintained properly. So I think the only benefit here is not to the community, but to the property owner at this time. He said it's a hardship in his development variance request. He said it's a hardship to not allow the proposed variances. It's only hardship is to him because he won't be able to sell them. Because right now, I believe that they're probably being maintained more than if they would be if they were individual homes. I think, and also once people have established lines of this is my house and that's your house, and you're in a smaller area versus a rental area, I think tensions will get a little bit higher than what they have been right now.
Okay.
So I feel like that the zoning established it's not like they're just not asking for one lot to have a variance or for a square feet or the road frontage, but there are numerous, and it goes on and on and on. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, not 11 variances that would be applied to this. 11 variances that would be applied for this to happen. Not just one, not just two, but 11. So I think it lessens the integrity of the town to pass it. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks, Sandy. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Jeremy, you want to go over the finding and facts?
Yep.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And if you want to clarify which lots, I know we have it in our packet. But
Yes. So I guess a question for the staff is when you're measuring lot width, are you doing it at the front of the building envelope or at the front of the lot on the street frontage?
On the street front.
On the street frontage.
Mm-hmm.
So the list that Palmer Primavera and Associates sent over, it initially had 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 13. Lot 4 should also be included in there for the minimum lot width. And for the lot area, it's lots 2, 3, and 13. So some of the concern I think that's been expressed is about this duplex development being owned, all 7 buildings, 14 units on the current 7 lots being owned by a common owner that's maintaining, say, lawns, exterior, and the like, versus it being fractionalized. As stands, there's nothing that prevents the current owner from selling each of the 7 individual lots off to 7 individual owners who are going to maintain them separately in the way that they would like, with no further action by this board or any other in Sellersburg. It could be operated by right that way, and there's nothing to prevent him from selling it off to someone else to operate it who may operate it a little bit differently than he does. So I just want that to be clear. What we're really asking to do is, again, draw lines down the middle. Nothing is going to change. In terms of you're still going to have presumably 14 families living in 14 units. This is going to give them the opportunity to own those units individually. Folks, when it comes to requiring, maintaining, lawns on the same schedule or have that uniform look, that's no different of a concern than in any other single family home residential subdivision in this neighborhood. They're still going to have to comply with city ordinance. And in this case, they're going to have to comply with the very comprehensive set of declarations that we're going to put in place. It's true that with declarations, any deed restriction, if all of the owners decide they don't want them, yeah, it is true that they can remove them. That's a part of a private deed restriction. That's an, irrefutable, fact of anything other than a governmental law or regulation that's imposed on them. That's a voluntary agreement. That being said, particularly with the nature of a duplex or a townhome style development, it is in the best interest of the people in that neighborhood to keep that framework in place, or to the point as discussed earlier, when it comes to what happens with the roof, what happens with the party wall, what happens with the exterior elements. They're going to be left without a means of adjudicating that other than relying on common law and hoping they've got an attorney that can help them adjudicate that quickly and effectively. So here, again, it's possible that it could be removed or amended. We have a very high threshold in the draft declaration, I think of 85% of the owners to make any amendment to the declaration. So it's not going to be something that's going to have capability of being changed kind of willy-nilly. It's true, to the point earlier, an individual owner could rent it out. Again, that we're not looking to restrict that here. We're just looking to sell off the units for folks to be able to individually, own and manage, again, under the framework that we're proposing. So, that'll conclude my rebuttal, but I'm open to any follow-ups.
So, say in theory, that two parents, two teenagers, or two other adults living in the household that's 4 units, how are you going to park with 6 cars on both sides?
How's that a different concern than how it's currently situated?
Well, you are both 1 or 2 car driveways.
I'm not sure what the depth of the current driveway is. I'd have to. But I guess my point is in the question that we're asking, we're talking about lot width and lot size. We're talking about structures that are already constructed and already occupied. The circumstances that you are suggesting could exist currently. So nothing that allowing the replat to move forward would incentivize that scenario to happen in the future. It just is the same as it is now.
I understand that. I guess the looking at it as it exists now, like you said, you could sell off the 7, but as it exists now, it's you go to one person that rents all of them. But if they were each duplex was owned separately, then the complaint is you're right. That would change.
You wouldn't have restrictions.
Right.
And people could just
Right.
That's right.
do whatever they wanted to if it was allowed in that zone.
Right. And then it'd go back to town enforcement at that point.
Right, but there wouldn't be nothing
Right.
we could do if it was allowed through the UDO.
Right.
With an HOA in place, at least there's some extra safeguards.
Into the point about the vehicular concerns with occupants, I mean, that very factual circumstance could exist now, and you could deny what we're asking for tonight, and it wouldn't change that circumstance 6 weeks from now, whether granted or not.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Nope.
You can't.
Public comment. Sorry, Sandy. Do you want to go over the finding of facts?
Information. The owner wants to split 7 lots to make 14 lots. No new building lots will be made. Finds a fact. In accordance with the requirements set out in the Indiana Code, the Board of Zoning Appeals will need to determine if the applicant has satisfied the requirements in IC 36-7-4-918.5. Finds a fact. The variance will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. The variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, moral, and general welfare of the community by encouraging the conversion from single-family residential rental units to single-family for-sale lots and units within a predominantly single-family residential portion of Sellersburg. No new construction is proposed within this proposal. Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner based on the request will not disrupt the established character and value of the residential corridor, but instead promote continued compatibility with the established single-family residential homesteads that already exist. The proposed variance request will allow the property to be subdivided from attached single-family rental homes to attached single-family for-sale lots and homes in conjunction with the town of Sellersburg initiatives to promote single-family owner-owned and occupied residential homes, allowing the area to remain in a single-family neighborhood setting. Number three, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property based on the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute a hardship by not allowing the proposed variances to be approved due to existing placement of the duplex homes within the subdivision causing irregular shaped lots. The existing subdivision has a short 50-foot right-of-way that opens up to a 120-foot diameter cul-de-sac right-of-way, which does not allow for uniform property line offsets and traditional rectangular lots. This request is an exception to the zoning ordinance, not the norm, and does not undermine the fundamental principles of zoning that protects the community's long-term interests and initiatives. Staff notes. Staff agrees that because these structures are already built, it does place a practical difficulty on selling these houses as owner-occupied homes. Staff does not see this becoming a normal occurrence for this zone. The board can set reasonable expectations on other required elements in this zone, for example, siding and roof maintenance and materials used, road repairs, etc.
Any comments? Jeremy, we take a vote on each element.
Yep.
You have that
Yep.
sheet.
I do. And then, we didn't give you all one just so we can keep track of it.
Okay.
Donna's gonna, mark them on hers.
Okay,
I
and
have
then
one
we'll
here.
sign. Okay.
And then you'll sign. Okay, we ready for a vote then?
Yep.
All right, so, this one, this is for the lot width reduction. So number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Karen? Agree, disagree, abstain.
Will you read that again, Jeremy?
This one is the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Agree.
Okay. Two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Anybody can go first.
You want to read that again, Jeremy?
Sure. The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. I can read their answer to number 2 if you'd like as well.
We have it in the packet.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna mention, so if with you abstaining, that makes it impossible to get a majority vote. I mean, 'cause this would have to be a unanimous vote to get a majority of the entire board. And you have to be unanimous on the elements having been met before you can grant the application. So if you're saying that on the second element, that's, I think if that's what you're gonna maintain, I think that makes it an automatic table that hasn't been. There can't be a consensus. It wouldn't be inappropriate to continue to
Right.
discuss this.
Right. Okay. So we table it, or can you read? Can you read their response on that one? Read the question and their response.
Sure.
And then
The use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner based on. Their answer was, the request will not disrupt the established character and value of the residential corridor, but instead promote continued compatibility with the established single-family residential homesteads that already exist. The proposed variance request will not allow the property, or will allow the property to be subdivided from attached single-family rental homes to attached single-family for sale lots and homes in conjunction with the town of Sellersburg initiatives to promote single-family owner-owned and occupied residential homes, allowing the area to remain in a single-family neighborhood setting.
Just a little discussion, is there a minimum lot size or?
Yes, so we're on the lot width right now. The area will be the next petition, but the required lot width is.
we're on lot size. A is lot size.
Okay. Lot width reduction in R2. Hang on a minute, let me find it. R2. I think it's 60 feet, but let me double check. $40 feet. So they have to have 40 foot of lot width. And we measure it from the cul-de-sac. I don't know why my computer's not pulling up. Give me a second and I'll pull up their plat map. Well, most of them have a curve on them.
Right.
Come on. No, obviously, that's how it came to this here. I don't know why my computer's not working here, but okay. There you go. So, see what this one's doing. You're saying, and it requires a number of 40? Yes. So like this one's like, CTs, most of them. 20. It's 29. It's almost 30. We like everything. They're everywhere. Well, the area has to be 4,000. Oh, it's the whole lot, or the whole development is like, see how this calls it out.
I have a paper copy.
Do you?
If you'd like to look at it.
Yeah, we would. Thank you. I don't like Charlie's plug here. It's not working for me. What's the overall acreage on that? Do we have any idea?
It's on 2.188 acres. So, yeah, see, the reason that there's even an ask is the fact that it's just full of size. Those that are much larger than that,
Right.
than their foot. And it's just because of where it comes to a point front, which is why, they're just obviously they're much wider. And then, the back also affecting a few of them. These two lots here and this lot right here, sticking up because of the shaping, provide them under the well, this is for the lot size.
these were originally built, you know, if there were any zoning appeals issues or anything at that time, were they ready to make some modification of the building unit?
I don't think so. I don't know that. And we probably don't, I don't think we're required to keep. Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. You want to read the finding of fact for 2, and if Karen wants to revisit, if not, we'll move on.
So, 2 was the use of value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner.
So, here, from my perspective, it's already there, so it's why I can't. It's already been built, so I can't really.
Affected.
I'll agree.
So
Agree.
You're changing to agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alex, is that okay?
Yeah.
Oh, yep. Finding in fact number 3, Jeremy.
Okay. Number 3. Strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Agree.
Okay. So
Um,
then you
So all the elements you guys agree
Correct.
with us are all met. I think it's a motion,
would.
Two.
vote the motion on that.
Okay.
What you follow.
So need to have a motion that all criterias were met.
Well, if all criteria, so this is a development
Right.
standard variance, if different than a use variance, in that if all elements are met, it is a ministerial obligation for the board to
Approve it.
approve it. So I think that a motion to approve.
Okay.
Make a motion to
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Moving on. 2025-09-DV-08. Jason Copperwaite has filed development standard variance on behalf of Thompson Collective LLC, 6659 Atkins Road, Floyd Knobs, Indiana, 47119, for the St. Joe's Place subdivision to reduce the lot width. You want to come speak on this portion of it, or this request?
Yes, Jake Vissing with Frost Brown Todd on behalf of the applicant. I will essentially just by reference restate everything that I stated on it's the same 3 criteria that we just discussed. For the same reasons that just discussed, we're asking for approval of this variance request. And again, I think it's important to note that, you know, while use is certainly the impetus for this request because of wanting to have the ability to sell the individual lots to what we would presume to be owner occupants in the future, the real core, I mean, the request itself is just about the width. You know, it's just about the situation on the ground. So when looking at the criteria, I think it's important that we're looking at the criteria based on, is the lot width going to be detrimental to the health, safety, morals, general welfare of the community? You know, is that lot width there at the front of the lot going to have a substantial adverse effect? And, you know, if not granted, with a lot width grant, you know, will that result in practical difficulties? So again, for the same reasons requested for the lot size, we ask it again for the lot width. Thank you.
Okay.
And can I, so I think we had a typo. 7 was the lot width. 8 is the lot area.
7.
Yeah.
A is on mine, A is the lot size and B is the lot width.
Yeah, A should be the width, and yeah, that was just a typo on our behalf. That's why I kept saying lot width.
So the first,
First one was width. Now we're dealing with area.
okay,
Yeah.
Everything that you just said.
same.
Yeah, that's right. So, and the minimum lot area that a lot has to have in an R2 zone is single family and two family residential is 4,000 square feet per unit.
I hate to have to split hairs like this, but I mean, it sounds as though the members of the board might have had a different issue in mind when questioning about facts. I think it makes sense to at least poll members whether the original answers that were given
Yeah.
apply. Tom, when you first voted, did you think we were talking about width or area?
I was going lot size based off of the agenda.
What about everybody else?
They were probably doing a lot. I don't know if you read my staff report
Right.
that you have.
I have both of them in there. I'm just off
Yeah.
of new business. Item A is for lot size.
I actually just think for purposes of
Just go through.
clearing the record, I think you ought to just re-vote on that just to make it clear.
So just do we need to redo the finding and facts and do it?
This is relation to-
I know.
So I would maybe just
Poll the members?
hold the members
Okay.
to confirm what that the vote they originally took is what they intended to do. With respect to the application.
Right.
They have to do.
Karen?
I actually put
Okay.
Mhm.
And mine was the lot size.
I was looking at lot width because that's what's in
Okay.
the order.
And I don't think they were.
Okay.
You were talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's do this again. And this is, and actually on, this is on the lot width. So
Okay.
number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Agree.
Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner.
Agree.
Strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Agree.
That's on the lot width.
Right.
Now, I guess I'll do a vote or a motion and a vote.
I make a motion that the variance requested for lot width.
Okay. Do I have a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Moving on to lot size.
Lot area. Yes, sir.
Jake, you still good with?
We'll let her provide on
Okay.
the lot size. I do want to note that if you look at the overall area of 2.88 acres, by right, like some district, it's enough for 23 divided lots. Here, you know, again, we're just talking about 14, part of it could have been developed on this property.
Okay.
Tom, one question I have is, as we go through this, we talked about these declaration of homeowners. We haven't seen, so we created the variances, what is the board, the town, so we would have, that's gonna happen.
So, what we're voting on here, so this still has to get approved by the planning commission. But if it's, so if these variances are granted, they're in, it's a ministerial act for the planning commission at that point because they meet all of the zoning ordinance requirements. Or they
So
have
it'll go back
variance.
before, if approved on the zoning, it'll go back before the planning commission. If
They have
approved
to
at the
approve.
planning commission, then it'll go to the town council
That's
for
correct.
the final. And the board,
And you all are well within your right to set,
If I could just, we'll stipulate to the condition that there is that we approve the declaration before salary taking
that's what I was gonna say, you can make
Okay.
conditions.
I thought
Okay.
you said that in the notes.
We'll stipulate that condition, we thoroughly intend on doing it, and no issues whatsoever. A copy we did send to the town manager, so I don't know if David's going through.
I wasn't copied on that one, so if you want to copy me on
and
it.
he added on his notes, but yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so this doesn't go to the town council after the planning commission.
Not this one, no,
Yeah.
correct,
Okay.
correct. Right.
It won't
This-
have to get
correct.
approved by the town council. The
Correct.
planning commission-
This one, right, the zoning won't, correct,
Right, or the subdivision.
Yeah.
The plat will. correct.
But again, it seems like it's stated because these are the things that would work with the subdivision control ordinance and the zoning ordinance. with
Right.
Variances here. So once this is settled up with BZA, then it goes back, it's a ministerial act.
To the plan commission.
Right,
And then it's approved.
for the plat, right,
Yes.
okay. Public comment on this one. Sandy, you wanna,
What part is, but I know when we talk about how it affects, if there's an adverse effect.
you wanna step up to the mic so we can,
My name is Sandra Carver, 2523 Allentown Road, Sellersburg, Indiana, 47172. There is an adverse effect. These were developed as duplexes and rental property. Now we are going to make them single home dwellings, which are far under over $100,000 in value, less than the surrounding homes. So there is most definitely an adverse effect to the surrounding property, without a doubt. Because if I have, if that was being the value of that property as a 7 duplexes, you don't compare that to a individual home. But now, if you separate it out, that value is $230,000 versus a home like the Rickmers. That's like a $450,000 house. It's twice the value of those homes. And when all those homes in the area have almost an acre or more, and these are 14 homes on 2 acres. There's an adverse effect to the environment, to the surrounding properties, without a doubt. I think that someone asked about any variances that were applied when they were built. From what I understand, there's not any records here in the town that go back that far, but I'm pretty sure that there probably were, and we're just continually getting around the town codes one step at a time. And I think it's just it's a shame to have a urban development plan or zoning boards, and then all you have to do is come to the town and say, "No, I'm good. I'll do that." It's so we already did all those things. Now you can't help but approve it. So I think you need to look at it long and hard, because there is an adverse effect. Whenever there's a house next door that's selling for $230,000, and if I own a house for $400,000, you think that's not going to affect the resale value? And especially, I don't think in good faith, I have not once, and I think the town can still put these restrictions on them, but not once have I heard from them, except at the end of the last meeting, they kind of hinted at, well, we'll put a fence up and some vegetation. But there's not been any commitment or anybody on the board to ask them to commit to that. Because if you put a fence up and vegetation around it, you are automatically making that a kind of a heightened area, and that's going to raise the property value of those homes. And so at least do that. At least have a fence and some vegetation around it to improve the property value and also not hurt the property values of the homes around it.
Thanks, Sandy. Anyone else? Okay. We'll go through the finding facts on this.
Okay.
Yep. If you want a rebuttal.
Not that it's
Nope.
necessarily.
Again, some of it is restating a little bit of what was already said, but again, we're talking about in this circumstance, as I recall, we've already dealt with lot width, but now we're talking about lot size. Again, that's the issue, is whether the size of these lots is going to have a detrimental effect or a substantially adverse effect. Even an adverse effect is not enough to fail to satisfy that criteria. It would have to be substantial. In lot width, again, we're talking about already completed structures, a circumstance that has been that way for over 20 years. It's not even a certainty of a timeline on which they would be sold. We're talking about the same operation, the same use that's been going on for more than 2 decades. So that's all I would say on it. Thank you.
Okay, Jeremy.
All right. So this one is a lot area reduction in an R2. The owner wants to split 7 lots to make 14 lots. No new building lots will be made. Finds of fact, in accordance with the requirements set out in Indiana Code, the Board of Zoning Appeals will need to determine if the applicant has satisfied the requirements in IC 36-7-4-918.5. Finds of fact, the variance will not be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the other property in the immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted. The variance will not be injurious to the public health, safety, moral, and general welfare of the community by encouraging the conversion from single-family residential units to single-family for-sale lots and units within a predominantly single-family residential portion of Sellersburg. No new construction is proposed within this proposal. Number 2, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner based on. The request will not disrupt the established character and value of the residential corridor, but instead promote continued compatibility with the established single-family residential homestead that already exists. The proposed variance request will allow the property to be subdivided from attached single-family rental homes to attached single-family for-sale lots and homes in conjunction with the town of Sellersburg initiatives to promote single-family, owner-owned, and occupied residential homes, allowing the area to remain in a single-family neighborhood setting. The strict application of number 3, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property based on the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute a hardship by not allowing the proposed variances be approved due to existing placement of the duplex homes within the subdivision, causing irregular shaped lots. The existing subdivision has a 50-foot right-of-way that opens up to a 120-foot diameter cul-de-sac right-of-way, which does not allow for uniform property line offsets in traditional rectangular lots. This request is an exception to the zoning ordinance, not the norm, and does not undermine the fundamental principles of the zoning that protect the community's long-term interests and initiatives. Staff notes. Same as the last one, staff agrees that because these structures are already built, it does place a practical difficulty on selling these houses as owner-occupied homes. Staff does not see this becoming a normal occurrence for this zone. The board can set reasonable expectations on other required elements in the zone. Siding and roof maintenance and materials used, road repairs, etc.
Okay. Take a vote on the,
All right. Okay, and this is on the lot area.
Well, actually, I want to mention, before you vote, they offered the condition of recording those declarations. Any motion that you make should include that condition.
okay.
We're going to have to go through the variances and agree or disagree with this.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Yeah, no, the staff
That's where we're
report,
at,
but that's a good point.
But I am going to make that motion.
Okay. The approval will not be, number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community.
Agree.
Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner.
Agree.
Number three, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property.
Agree.
Agree.
You want to make a
Yeah, I'll make a
motion?
motion that we approve the variances requested, as mentioned, with the contingency of the declaration. Homeowners Association is submitted to, I guess, the county manager for approval of who goes in.
Yeah.
I think that it was, before they listing, lots for sale, that they would have to report the declarations.
Covenants and restrictions.
So we want to, yes, so the motion reads something, approve the variances that are mentioned on the lot reduction. With the contingency that the declarations submitted prior to the sale of lots. Town Sellersburg. Does that sound right?
It's to be
Recorded with the county.
clerk.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm sure she got it.
We got it.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Moving on, any new BZA business?
None.
Okay. Any
Or,
attorney?
we did the BZA business already.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And any attorney comments? Thanks for sticking around.
Right.
Okay, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Motion. Second, all in favor, say aye. Okay. Being closed. 7:14.